100 years ago, boys as young as 14 found themselves in the middle of a war. Some faked their age or stowed away on ships. And many, like 14-year-old Australian James Martin, never returned. But what was life like for them and the other soldiers who served in World War I? Well, the Warradale 43 Army Cadet Unit went to find out. They visited the Army Museum of South Australia to look at one of the many exhibitions around the country that give us a glimpse into life during World War I.
This is the amber boxes back then.
First up, they looked at the equipment Australian soldiers had to work with. The troops were meant to have a woolen tunic and breeches, puttees, which are a strip of cloth wrapped around the lower leg for protection and support, 100 rounds of ammunition, a rifle, a bayonet, a water bottle, a trench tool to dig their new homes, kindling for small fires, food rations, and a pack. But many soldiers weren't properly equipped. And as the campaign dragged on, the uniforms started to change as they tried to adapt to hot and cold conditions.
It's very different. Like, we get a lot of clothes and stuff, like raincoats and stuff, and they didn't seem to have as much.
Okay, so what about where the troops slept? In places like Gallipoli, you were expected to basically dig out your own room in the side of trenches. The best trenches had small buildings like radio rooms built into them. They were covered or reinforced with wood and corrugated iron. But even these better trenches were still pretty squishy for our troops.
With the facilities that they had, I can't imagine me surviving very well.
You really can't sleep here unless you're sitting and sleeping, which is not comfortable.
Okay, but surely they must have had some decent food, right? Well, not quite. An average meal after a tough day in the trenches looked a bit like this. Some cheese, perhaps an onion, maybe some jam, tea, and this very hard biscuit known as hard tack or the Anzac tile. The highlight was some bully beef or tinned corned beef. It's edible, but that's about it.
It's pretty hard and stale, plain, but it's livable here.
Not enough food, dirty clothes, and horrible living conditions often led to disease. Diseases alone are thought to have killed more than 2 million people in the First World War. Even for these guys, seeing how the Anzac soldiers lived was pretty shocking.
They were actually living really, really harshly, that a lot of the elements were against them and the odds for them surviving the war were pretty low.
But it gives us an idea of some of the things our troops sacrificed for all Australians.